So we are in the basic settings. And in the previous class, we have completed account groups. So define retained earnings account. Transaction code OB53. So what is this retained earnings account? Here, retained earnings account is nothing but your profit and loss account or profit and loss appropriation account. So here, balance sheet is a statement of assets and liabilities. Balance sheet is a statement. Balance sheet is not called account. Balance sheet is a statement of assets and liabilities. But profit and loss account is an account which contains debits and credits. So profit and loss account and profit and loss appropriation account are called retained earnings account. Here, at the time of creating the GL accounts, right, we have to specify whether that GL account belongs to P&L account or balance sheet. Okay, but in the case of P&L account, we have the multiple P&L account types. Means, for example, some expenses and revenue accounts. P&L account means always it represents expense and revenues only, right? So some expenses and some revenues belong to different profit loss account types, right? That's why at the time of creating the expense accounts and incomes accounts, we have to specify the profit loss account type. For this, it is compulsory to create one retained earnings account. We can define any number of profit loss account types. For example, operating profit loss account to know the operating profit and non-operating profit loss account to know the non-operating profit or loss. At the year end, the balances in these profit loss account types are taken to the balance sheet. So minimum to minimum, we have to define one profit loss account type. But based on the business requirement, we can define multiple profit loss account types per chart of accounts. Say, for example, in your balance sheet, you have to display how much is the operating profit and how much is the non-operating profit. In that case, how do we derive operating profit or loss from the operating profit or loss account? Similarly, we derive the non-operating profit or loss from the non-operating profit or loss account. In that case, we have to define two profit loss account types. But in any case, minimum to minimum, we have to define one profit loss account type. So first, let us define this profit loss account type. Then I will explain you furthermore. So path is same as above. SPRO, Financial Accounting New, General Ledger Accounting New, Master Data, GL Accounts, Preparations, Define Retained Earnings Account. Chart of Accounts is equal to SSKV. Chart of Accounts is equal to SSKV. Click on Enter. So P&L statement account type, it contains up to 2 characters, right? You can use up to 2 characters, but here I'm giving only one character, X. Just like that. Account 100, 100. So why I have given 100, 100? Just a minute. Yeah. So account 100, 100. Why I have taken 100, 100? Here, profit loss account is part of your reserves and surpluses, right? So the balance in the P&L account is displayed on the liability side of the balance sheet under the heading reserves and surpluses account group, right? So this account is to be created under the reserves and surpluses account group. So that account is to be created between this number ranges. Means that account is created under the reserves and surpluses account group. In that case, right, we can take any number between these two numbers, right? So just like that, I have taken 100, 100. Technically speaking, you can take any number between these two numbers. 1 lakh 100 you can take, 1 lakh 101 you can take, 1 lakh 110 you can take. So any number you can take between these two numbers, but that number should be between these two numbers only. Just like that, I have taken 1 lakh 100. Okay, click on save. And see, this is called warning message, right? The account 1 lakh 100 not created in the chart of accounts SSKV. So I told you, whenever you get any warning message while doing the configuration, you can ignore it, right? So to ignore the warning message, you have to click on enter button. Now, so I told you, based on the business requirement, we can define any number of profit loss account types. Why? See, as I said, let us assume that in the balance sheet, we have to display operating profit separately and non-operating profit separately. Okay. In that case, we define two profit loss account types. Operating profit loss account type X, one with number 100, 100. This is what you are defined, right? Then we also define one more profit loss account type, non-operating profit or loss account type Y with the number 1 lakh 102. So how do we define? Like this only, very simple. Y 1 lakh 102, right? Click on save. So again, it is giving one warning message. Account 1 lakh 101 not created in the chart of accounts SSKV. Here we have given only the account number, but we did not create the account, right? These accounts we create in the general ledger accounting beginning. For the time being, it's only a warning message. So you can ignore the warning message. To ignore the warning message, click on enter button. Okay, so we define two profit loss account types. Then, what is this operating profit or loss? What is operating profit or loss? It is the difference between operating revenues and operating expenses. So operating revenues means what? These are the revenues generated from the main business operations of the company. Say, for example, you are in the chemicals manufacturing, or you can say textiles manufacturing. So you produce the textile products, you sell them, and thereby you receive the revenues, right? That is called sales, right? Sales revenue is always operating revenue. Sales revenue is always operating revenue, right? Then operating expenses. These are the expenses which are incurred to run the main business. For example, rent, wages, and salaries. Not only rent, wages, and salaries. Every expenditure, right, which you incur to run your day-to-day business is called operating expenses, right? Now, non-operating profit or loss. So what is non-operating profit or loss? It is the difference between non-operating revenues and non-operating expenses, right? So what is non-operating revenues again? These are the revenues generated from the business operations which are not related to your main business. Example, dividend on shares. If the main business is textiles manufacturing, means, say, for example, yours is a textiles manufacturing company. Okay. So this year we have some surplus funds. So instead of keeping those surplus funds, right, in the bank current account, right, we have purchased the shares in other companies. Remember, your main business is textiles manufacturing, and you are having some surplus funds. So with these surplus funds, you purchase shares in other companies. Actually, in yours is not the investment company, right? Yours is textiles manufacturing. Then at the end of the year, that other companies have declared the dividend. Then that dividend income is the non-operating revenue to your company. Suppose if your business itself is investments like Warren Buffett or Junjunwala, Dividend revenue is the operating revenue. And suppose, right, today, you are having one building, right? Previously, that building was used for the administration purposes, right? But due to some reason, right, you have vacated that building and that building was let out on rent to somebody else. Every month, you receive the revenue from the building, right? That is rent. You receive rent from the building, right? Then that rent is called non-operating revenue. Yours is not the real estate business or service apartments business, right? So in that case, the rent received from the administrative building is called your non-operating revenue. Like that, every revenue which is not related to your main business, right, is called non-operating revenue. Okay, then non-operating expenses. These are the expenses incurred to earn non-operating revenues. Example, brokerage paid on purchase of shares. So in order to purchase the shares, right, you paid brokerage to the stock exchange member, right? So that is called non-operating expenses. Okay. So here, whether they are, see here, salaries, rent, wages, sales, right? Again, you are creating the GL account, dividend and shares account, brokerage and share account. That means for all the expenses and revenues, whether they are operating expenses or non-operating expenses, or operating revenues or non-operating revenues, right? You create the GL account, right? So compulsory we create the GL account, right? Then at the time of creating the GL accounts, salaries, you specify type X, sorry. Why? The salaries account is relating to operating profit loss account, right? Similarly, while creating the rent account, you specify type X. While creating the wages account, you specify type X. While creating the sales account, you specify type X. Because these are operating expense and operating revenues. Like that, for every operating expenditure and operating revenue, right, you specify type X. At the end of the year or at the end of the month, whenever you prepare the financial statements, the system will take the balances of all the GL accounts to type X. Right? So what is type X? Operating profit loss account. So the difference will be either operating profit or operating loss. Clear? Similarly, while creating the dividend and shares account, you specify type Y. Again, while creating the brokerage and shares account, you specify type Y. That means for all the non-operating revenues and non-operating expenses, you specify type Y. So at the end of the year, when you prepare the P&L account and balance sheet, the balances in these two GL accounts will be taken to type Y. So what is type Y? Non-operating profit and loss account, right? In that case, the result will be either profit and loss account or, the result will be either non-operating profit or non-operating loss. That's how we can meet the requirement of displaying operating profit separately and non-operating profit separately. Suppose, one more example, just to make you understand the concept. See, you want to create, you need to display gross profit separately, operating profit separately, and non-operating profit separately in the balance sheet. In that case, we define three profit loss account types. Like what? Trading account, type X. Operating profit loss account, type Y. Non-operating profit loss account, type Z. Or ABC, PQR, any identification we can use. Clear, no? That's how we can define any number of profit loss account types. But please remember, we should create at least one profit loss account type, right? Say, for example, right? Because I came to my native place, actually, there the net is not that much effective. So if you keep the server for a minute or 2 minutes as idle, it is disconnecting. It's a net problem here, right? So you create the GL account, for example, in a case 00, right? So I'm creating 400, 100. Then our chart of accounts SSKV. Go to menu GL account, create. Okay. So here you see, it is asking for P&L statement type, right? Actually, we have to do some more settings, right? Then only we can create the GL account. See, suppose, for example, I'm creating salaries account, right? Then it is asking for P&L statement account type. If you press on F4, you can see two types of P&L account types. Clear, no? That's how we can define any number of profit loss account types based on the business requirement. Clear? Any questions from anybody in this topic till now? Okay. So this next topic, post-imperative variant, we will discuss in tomorrow's class, because I told you, I came to my native place, right? I'm going back to Hyderabad. So my train starts within the next 2 hours, right? I have to prepare and go to the railway station. So this we will discuss in tomorrow's class. Okay. Okay, then see you tomorrow, same time. Good night and good day.